There are two different ways to install Nagios on Red Hat or CentOS computers. One way is with packages. The other is to compile from source. We're going to perform the second right now. Unless you have done a lot of work with Linux or Unix, you might be unfamiliar with installing from source. Years ago, this was the way you installed pretty much all software. It took quite a while before good package managers were developed, and then even longer for sizable package repositories to be created. If you mainly deal with Windows servers, then installing from source will feel strange. But as long as the steps all work, it's not hard. It's just a little more time consuming. There are a couple of steps where we will install some of the supporting software from RPM packages also. We will be doing this install on CentOS 7. The same steps will work on Red Hat 7 and Oracle Linux 7. So the first step is to install the supporting packages. These are prerequisites for Nagios to install and run. Depending on how you installed your system, these might already be available on the system. The install will pick that up and skip those packages. You will need to be root to do most of this work, so the easiest way is to simply su over to the root account right up front. You can do that by typing the following: sudo su dash, and then press enter. And now I'm the root user. Once you run the command, you'll be in the root home drive. If you do a pwd command at this point, it'll show you being in /root. This is typically where I work from at this point. Next, we will install the prerequisites. So you want to run the following command: yum install -y wget httpd php gcc glibc glibc-common gd gd-devel make net snmp perl perl-devel and open SSL. Once these packages are loaded, then we need to create the Nagios user and the NAGCMD group and make a group assignment. First, let's create the user by typing in user add Nagios. Next, we will create the group by typing in group add NAGCMD. Now we will assign the user to the new group by typing in user mod -a-g NAGCMD Nagios. At this point, it is time to download the Nagios source code and get ready to compile it. The first thing I always do is to create a directory to download the software into. So I'll type mkdir nagios-install. Then I'm going to change to the directory. Then we use the wget command to download the software from the server. The command for this is wget https://assets.nagios.com/downloads/nagios core/releases/nagios-4.1.1.tar.gz. Now that the software is downloaded, I will untar the package with tar zxvf nagios 4.1.1.tar.gz. Notice I could just hit tab and do the completion. This will expand out the file into the subdirectory called Nagios 4.1.1 right below where I am at currently. Note that this is downloading version 4.1.1 of the software. There very well could be a newer version available when you do this. You can simply do a Google search to find out what the current version is and adjust the file name accordingly, or you can just go with this version for now too. Next, you will need to switch to the directory we just created by typing cd nagios 4.1.1. Once here, the first step of compiling the software is by performing a configure. A side note here: many times you will see instructions online where they will have some of these steps performed as a basic user and some as root. I'm not sure if this is a typo on their part or if they wrote it that way. But when you create software from source, you want to make sure you are doing it with root privileges. So the first command in the list is /configure with dash command dash group equals nagcmd dash dash prefix equals /usr /local /nagios dash dash sysconfdir equals /etc/nagios. And now I'll press enter. Once this completes out, you will do the make all to make the actual package. Then we need to actually install the compiled package. We do this with the command make install. For some software, this is where you would be done if you were installing from source. But for Nagios, we need to run some additional commands. First, we do make install dash init. That installs the init script in the etc rc.d init.d directory. Next, I will run make install dash config. That generates the config files for the software. And after that, the next command is make install dash command mode. And this makes adjustments to the system to enable the command mode. Finally, we need to generate the web config file by running make install dash web conf. You now have the software installed. Next, we need to make a couple of additional adjustments to the system. The first is to copy the event handler directory and make an ownership change. So I will run the following two commands. cp-rvf contrib /event handlers /usr /local /nagios /libexec /. Now I'm going to do a chown dash capital R Nagios nagcmd /usr /local /nagios /libexec /event handlers. Now we need to create the Nagios admin user and make a password for the web login into the web console. The command is htpassword, and it will prompt you for the password once you type in the command. So I'll type htpasswd-c /etsy/nagios /htpasswd.users and then Nagios admin and hit enter. Now it's going to ask me for the password. And then of course to re-enter it. And now the user's been created with a password. So now everything is installed and configured. We need to get the system to recognize the changes on the system. First, we're going to run systemctl daemon reload. And then once that's done, we're going to start up the web service in the Nagios application with the following commands. First will be systemctl start httpd, then systemctl start Nagios. And now we're going to set them so that they will auto start every time that the server is rebooted. So I'll do systemctl enable httpd and then systemctl enable Nagios. Next, we're going to make a firewall adjustment, and I'm going to type in firewall-cmd --zone equals public --add port equals 80/TCP permanent. Then I'm going to go firewall -cmd -reload. So now we're going to have to get the system to monitor itself. So we're going to have to add the plugins. So I'm going to first go back down a level so that I'm in the Nagios-install directory. And then after that, I'm going to download the source code for the plugins. At this point, I'm going to go wget www.nagios-plugins.org/download/nagios-plugins-2.0.3.tar.gz. Once that's downloaded, we'll have to untar the file. So I'll do tar zxvf nagios plugins, and you can do a tab completion here and hit enter. Now that we have the plugin source code on the server, it's time to compile and install it. So I'll move to the subdirectory with cd nagios plugins. Next, we're going to have to do the configure. So it's going to be /configure -- with -nagios-user equals nagios -- with -nagios-group equals nagcmd. And now that the configure is done, we do a make. And now I'll do a make install. Now the plugins are installed. Now let's bring up the Nagios web page. I'm going to go to 10.0.1.22/Nagios, which is my Nagios server. It's going to ask me for the username, which is Nagios admin. It's the one we created before. And then I put the password in and hit enter. So now Nagios is running. And if I take a look at host, it's going to list the local host, which is the machine that Nagios is currently running on. And that's the only one we have configured right now. If I go down to host groups, you'll notice it shows localhost again. It says 7 services are okay and 1 has a warning. If I click here on localhost, it'll show all these. Now, when I first bring this up, sometimes you might have things where it'll say pending for status, or sometimes it might come up like for SSH, let's say, it might actually give you a critical at first. And that may not necessarily mean that it's not running. You need to give it a few minutes until it goes through 1 or 2 polling cycles before it finally flushes this out. The statuses are only updated periodically when it polls. So when you first load this and get the plugin started and you bring this up, it's a good idea to simply go get yourself a cup of coffee or go chat with a friend. Give it a little bit of time to run before you check the statuses and say, oh, I've got a problem. The HTTP, this is very common with dealing with CentOS or Red Hat servers. Basically what it is that by default, the HTTP service does not have an index.html file. And so we're getting a 403 forbidden because there's no file there. If I were to go on and install an index.html file, shortly that would actually turn green and say okay. That's really not unusual at all. But if you know you have it there, well, then you know you've got some other problem with your web server. So we now have Nagios server up and running, and it's monitoring itself. Getting the server to monitor other servers is part of a different lecture. You'll find that setting it up is quite easy. And as a matter of fact, this part is really what we've done is probably the heavy lifting of everything to get this all working.